Okay, yeah, we're at in Waterman Canyon above San Bernardino. There's snow in my backyard up in the mountains, so here it is in what kind of late March, and spring has sprung down here, but it's still lingering up in the mountains. So to find wild edible and medicinal plants, we can go down lower in elevations and work our way up during the summer, and so we can collect some of these plants at different times of year. So today we're going to be talking about just whatever's out here right now, but I see some black sage and mustard and elderberry, and the elderberry's not ready yet, but we can take a look at it, and to see it in different stages is really good, so it helps you identify it. But elderberry, once you get used to it, that's what I call a 65-mile-an-hour plant, that you can be going down the freeway at 65 and identify it. It's real easy to identify once you know what to look for. This is mustard. It's spicy. It's in the Brassicaceae family, the mustard family. And if you buy mustard greens at the store, this is what you're getting. You get these leaves here. They look like a typical mustard green leaf. And these are edible, and the flowers are edible. They're a little bit spicy. Some mustards are spicier than others. London Rocket is a very spicy one, but these ones are good. They're good in salads and just as a nibble when you're going down, walking around like we're doing today. So I encourage you guys to try this one too. Okay, this is the mustard flower. It's yellow. It's not all mustards are yellow, but this has got what they call a floral formula of 4484. And it's got 4 petals, 4 sepals, 4 petals, 8 stamens, and 4, what do you call them now? Can't remember. Anyhow, you take a look at all the mustards have got 4 petals like that, so that's one thing you look for. And then you need almost a magnifying glass to see all the other flower parts, but it's easier to identify. You see fields of them. Whole hillsides will be filled with yellow flowers, especially down around Cal Poly, Pomona. You see just hillsides full of these flowers. Okay, this is elderberry. This is Sambucus Cerulean mexicana. There's several types of Sambucus or elderberry growing in North America, but this is the most common in the southern part, up around in the northern states and Canada. It's Sambucus canadensis, and there's a red elderberry that Sambucus racemosa, and that's considered poisonous. It's not totally poisonous, but you just have to be very careful how you use it. So a lot of real easy ways to identify this plant. It's deciduous, and you can see it's starting to grow leaves right now. And if you look right here, it's starting to put in to grow the flowers. That's going to be a flower right there. And this will be a big panicle of white, creamy white flowers about this big, which eventually will turn into berries, a purple berry. And those are very good. Any kind of Sambucus that you eat, you should cook it first. Some people react different if you know, they'll get sick to their stomachs. Some people will, especially if you don't cook it. It doesn't bother me. I can eat it raw, but I've never eaten tons of it raw. But we use it to make jams and jellies and pies and stuff like that. But this is really good You can make a tea out of the flower. It's called elder blow, B-L-O-W, when it's a flower. Excuse me. And that tea is really good for influenza, both as a preventive and as a treatment for the flu. The berries are also good too, and you can eat the berries and you can juice it, you can eat them. You know, we freeze some, we dry some. You can put them in pancakes, you know, muffins and stuff like that. The flowers can be dipped in batter and used as cooked as a fritter, and you can eat them that way, or just take them and dry them, or use them fresh to make a tea. The leaves on elderberry, it's called a compound leaf. This is one leaf, and you can see the leaf is divided into leaflets. It's got 5 leaflets on it, and so that's common for elderberry. In fact, whenever you identify plants, you look at the leaves, because the leaves will tell you a lot, but plants are actually identified by flower and flower parts. So another thing about elderberry is it's got a hollow stem, and you can see right in here, the very middle of it is pithy, you know, and so you can take that and you can hollow it out and use it as a flute, make a flute out of it, and a straw and stuff like that. People would use elderberry for all sorts of stuff like that. It's also it's got quite a history of folklore and stuff like that, as far as what it was used for spiritually and stuff like that. I'm not too much into that stuff, but if you want to research it, you can do that. So this is a typical plant. They can get pretty big. They can get 25, 30 feet tall. Across the street, across the road there, you can see that's a typical shape of an elderberry right here. And when it has the white clusters of flowers, it's real easy to identify. And then when it turns into the fruit, you know, the purple fruit, they're very easy to identify too. And so what we do is, if we're running out of elderberry because we didn't pick enough for the year, we'll go down to Riverside area, and which is even lower than this, and the berries will be ripe in June. And starting in June, we can start to collect elderberry, and we can collect it all summer long, all the way into fall, because up in fall, up by Big Bear, at 7,000 feet, they're getting ripe up there at that time of year. So as you want to collect it, you just change elevations and just kind of follow it on up as it gets ripe. Okay, this right here, this is a typical low chaparral plant. It doesn't grow much higher than 3,000 feet because it doesn't take the cold very well. But this is Salvia mellifera. Salvia mellifera. It's black sage, and typical of the sage flowers, it's got these segmented flowers here, and they go all the way up. And on all sages, they have, if you look very closely at the stem, you can see that the stem is square, and it's got opposite leaves. So the leaves come off the stem opposite each other, and this is opposite, what they call opposite alternate. So these 2 leaves go off this way, these 2 leaves go off this way. So they're 90 degrees to each other. They're very aromatic. This is probably the most prized sage for cooking, so that they use for cooking. So you can take the leaves and use it for cooking, for, you know, spicing up different dishes and stuff. And you can use it fresh, or you can pick the leaves and dry it. And but you can't mistake the smell. It smells real good. You can make tea out of it and stuff like that too.